So yeah, tell me about the Cradle album. How's that going? Did you guys pick a name yet?
Okay, so the thing is Danny's being super mysterious at this point. I don't even know the name. Like, I know some of the song titles.
Yeah.
But it is done, and it's being delivered. What's today? It's being delivered in a few days, actually, finally, to our label.
Awesome.
And it came together quite well. Like, they guys did such a good job. I only appeared on half of the album, so that was only what was presented to me. I haven't even actually heard the other half of it yet. And I can't, because well, maybe I'll hear it next week. I'll finally hear everything, like, mastered, because I at least think Danny and our producer would be nice enough to send us, the MP3s.
Yeah, the final product.
Yeah, but it went really well. It was very quick, but I know that the guys had, like, what they had in mind. They had a vision for this album, and they just went for it. My say in the album wasn't as big as Hammer of the Witches, but it doesn't really bother me, because if you have a collective and these people are just making magic, sometimes it's like, there's no point in you trying to intervene when it's just turning out great anyway. So I trusted the guys and let them do their own thing on this last album. It's cool. I mean, there was obviously some speeches I did again, and I did some singing, like a lot along the lines of what we did in with Right Wing of the Garden Triptych, like our first single. And there's some operatic parts. It was really cool. It was like what has been done before. I didn't really get pushed in the direction to do anything differently. Danny was very on point. Like, his vocals, they came out great. He just focused on that for about 2 months, and he came out and he did a really great performance.
That's awesome.
Like the guitar, I think the guitarists, they've really pushed themselves a little more than they did on the last album. I think the last album, they felt they really had to prove themselves, which we all felt that collectively, but on this new album, I think they're like, okay, yeah, I know what I'm doing now. Like, the Hammer of the Witches went over really well, so they kind of pushed themselves a little bit further to really kind of put people in awe. Like, I think I listened to good guitar parts of what I've heard so far, and I'm just like, wow, like, they really, really pushed themselves, and it sounds cool. I mean, the thing I like about our current lineup, which has been going on over 3 years now, which is a miracle and Cradle of Filth, because we've been known as a revolving door, and I think this is the longest we've kept this lineup in a while. The thing I like about our two guitarists is that you can distinctively tell the difference between Rich and Ashok, and that's what's really cool about our current lineup and our current writing lineup.
That's cool. Yeah, you guys have been the same for a few years now, and that's really refreshing and great to see. I think after people have been together for a certain amount of time, they just kind of develop this working relationship that benefits the music. Everything goes so smoothly, and it's always different when you have to change out members, and that always kind of makes things, like, rougher, Yeah,
and Cradle's been known for that, and I've seen the anxiety from the fans, because I'll just get messages out of the blue, and this happens to all the members, from what I understand, and they'll be like, please don't leave Cradle of Filth, like, I love what you're doing, I don't want anyone else to replace you, which is, like, really sweet, but I understand their anxiety because of the history of Cradle and so many people coming in and leaving. And that's the thing, like, I'm here to stay. I'm not, like, leaving anytime soon. I want to stay in Cradle as long as I can. It's a big part of my life. So it's nice, because with the current lineup, like, we're just a family. Like, I tell everyone I just have 3 brothers, and we all get along, and it's really laid back. And I think that's what, this lineup needed, was just really laid back people who are hardworking and have a vision, and that's what we needed going forward.
Yeah, and I always tell people when I'm out at shows, because I get a lot of feedback from the fans, and they'll say something about, somebody's new singer, whatever, they don't like this or that, like, especially when Arch Enemy switch singers. I hear a lot of people naysaying, or a lot of people, like, really like the new singer, and it's kind of like, I always tell them, it's like kind of like Star Wars. It's like the old Star Wars fans from the 70s, from 77, they like the original trilogy, and the new Star Wars fans, they love the new trilogy. But they don't necessarily like the old ones, or they haven't seen them, and then the old fans don't really like the new ones because they know the old stuff. So it's kind of just one of those things, like, change is good, and it keeps things fresh, but also balance and stability is good too. So having
and going back to your point about old versus new, like, I can understand people getting into Cradle now, why they have an appreciation for my work, but the thing is Sarah, Jezebel Deva, was in the band for 12 years, I believe. 9 or 12, something like that. And a lot of people say, I want Sarah back, and they compare me to Sarah, and I'm not offended by that, because the truth is, I think Sarah's a great singer. She's been an influence on my voice and my work in Cradle of Filth. Because I'm like, sometimes I'm like, well, what would Sarah do? Because I thought what she did was fantastic. Right. Maybe it is my favorite album. And the fans need to know that there's no competition. I'm actually friends with her now, which is really cool. And it's just what's doing best for the band now, which I guess in Star Wars they're just doing what's best for the Star Wars legacy now, moving forward.
You can't go back to 77.
I'm so glad that, Rich and Danny would love that. We're comparing Cradle to Star Wars. It's funny.
You'll have to tell them about it.
Bands, right?
Yeah.
But that's the thing. You get that anxiety, and the thing is my going into the band at the time, almost 5 years ago, was a very quiet introduction because previous keyboardist left, who's also a friend of mine, and I know the fans really loved her. Her voice was very suited for Cradle, especially in the speeches and the low, smoky, sexy kind of voice. So it was very quiet, and I asked our web girl and Danny, why didn't we announce that I joined the band? And they were like, well, there just had been so many changes over the past while. We just didn't want to confuse and overwhelm the fans. And I'm like, okay, fair enough. But I feel I've gotten to the point where I've kind of made my place in the band that, everybody knows I'm here, and there's no weird feelings about it. I mean, there are old, disgruntled fans, and I get it. Same with Star Wars. My dad's an original Star Wars fan. He's loving the new stuff, but he's just a happy-go-lucky person. But some people want to just, hold on to that old nostalgia so bad, but the thing is they just can't let go and understand, listen, it's not like the 90s anymore. Right. This is new Cradle, and this is how it is, and we're doing our best. So, if you don't like it, just move on and find something else and leave us alone. And if you're liking it, stick around and, enjoy the live show and the new album.
I always tell people to give it a chance because change. It's always different, but it can be good, and it can, people say the same thing about Opeth, about Arch Enemy, about you guys. It's they changed their sound, things got softer or harder or this or that, and it's it's different. They're different. People grow, they change, so if you don't like it, you can go listen to something else. You don't have to sit there and trash it. That's kind of pointless, Yeah, it's a waste of time.
Exactly, and that's the thing. There's always going to be negative feedback online, and I just ignore it. I'm you know what? I'm doing what Danny wants me to do, what the band wants me to do, what's best for the band right now, or they feel a band is such a collaborative effort. It's a little bit different. The pressure is very different as a solo artist. We'll get to that later. I have some interesting things to say about that, band versus solo. But, the fans just have to understand at the end of the day, we're doing our best. And if our best isn't good enough for you, listen, you're not our parents. And even then, I don't care what my parents think. So, but,
exactly. We don't listen to them anyway, so...
Yeah, exactly.
But I think you guys are doing great, and you've definitely made your place in the band, and you sound amazing, and I think it's come full circle. You guys are doing fantastic. You're a great addition to the band. And I shouldn't say addition because you've been there for 3 years, so it's not
almost 5, actually.
Almost 5?
Yeah.
Wow, I didn't even realize.
So quick.
Yeah, time flies really fast. So, I think you guys are doing fantastic. Do you know when the album is going to come out? Did they tell you?
We're looking for a September release, but I don't believe that's concrete yet.
Cool.
So I'm not sure what's going on. I know Danny's discussing everything with our label right now, and we're trying to get a solid plan of when it comes out.
Cool.
But, it's going to be a new chapter. We took, it's kind of hilarious. I'm not sure if I mentioned this last time we talked, but we were in the Czech Republic writing this album together for a week. And the whole time... Danny was reading certain books. I was watching Penny Dreadful. And the whole theme that came about was Victorian horror.
Yes.
Which was funny. And then we went to Latvia recently, and we did our music video, and I think it's going to be our most visually stunning music video we've ever had. I was looking at the playback, and it looked better than our Nymphetamine music video. And I was like, this is insane. So because of that, that the imagery has really tied in to the whole thing. I feel like, we did our best on our budget for Hammer of the Witches visually and artistically, and I'm very proud of that album. But I think this time, like, visual-wise, sound-wise, theme-wise, we've kind of been very cohesive, and moving forward, it's gonna make a lot of sense. So I thought it was funny, like all this weird literature and film and TV shows, like, they really influenced us to bring it to the final stages. And I won't even lie, like Vanessa Ives, the character in Penny Dreadful, I've taken a lot of my style and my character from her, and it's just like this made-up fictional character that ties into Victorian horror. But I think I related a lot to, like, I'm on season 3 now, and you can't watch it in North America, so it's a treat for me when I travel over to Europe, right?
Yeah.
Because it's available on Netflix there, which is so funny. But I relate so much to her because she's, you know, either in the state and wanting to possess her. Granted, that's not one of my problems, thank God. But she's this character that is so dark and misunderstood, and she has a good heart. And, you know, at the end of the day, she just wants to be accepted for who she is. And I relate so much to her on that level, kind of like being a black sheep. So I just kept relating so much to her, and then I was like, oh shit, like, I'm taking from her style. I'm taking from her way of talking. Like, this is hilarious. So even Danny noticed it. He started calling me Miss Ives. I'm like, whatever. That's a cool character to be based upon for a character on this new album.
Yeah, isn't that what makes fiction so compelling and addictive, is that you relate to it in so many ways, because it can take so many different things and put them into one character. You know, it's like, I mean, there's nobody out there just like you, but sometimes this one made-up person has, like, so many things going on in their life that you can relate to, and just, like...
I think so, and I think in a way everyone can relate. Like, there's other characters in the film, like, everyone can relate to Dorian Gray. Nobody wants to grow old.
Right.
Nobody. You know, and then Frankenstein, like, pushing the boundaries of your dreams and science and death, and, you know, I think everyone in that show is so relatable. I even think when I look at Ethan being a werewolf, I think that, you know, a lot of people struggle with drugs and alcohol addiction, and they can relate to Ethan because it's just like, all of a sudden you step over the edge, and then you turn into this monster that you can't control, and he's so ashamed of it. And Penny Dreadful is a very relatable show, and I look at the stories on the new Cradle album and what Danny was writing. I don't want to give too much away because it is very beautiful.
Right.
And you read these stories, he always puts the stories in his songs, and you're just like, wow, like, you know, these people are going through some serious shit. So,
right.
In a very magical, elegant way, tragic way, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's definitely a big part of us, this next album.
That's awesome. I love that show, too. And you did talk about your video a little bit. I was going to ask you about that. I was going to see if you could tell me any of the song titles, and if you wanted to talk about the videos that you guys shot, because I saw you guys are shooting that, so...
Yeah, I can't say song titles yet. I don't even know if it's actually, like, the final song title, because we were having an issue if there was a "the" in there or not. Like, I'm just like, what is the name of the song? Like, I feel like I'm sure it's solidified it now, but it hasn't been released to the public.
Yeah.
But it is absolutely visually stunning, and like, I think our best one today, we worked with Arthur Burzin and from Latvia, and he's an incredible artist. And he was nervous to do it, but I told him, listen, you've got this, and the final product is coming out great. So it was a nice experience, but we didn't even really get to see Latvia. It was like full-on days, and we thoroughly slept.
Yeah, it's probably just work, and get out of there.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, that's exciting. It must be terribly, like, torturous to not be able to share things. Like, you guys have all done so good about keeping it all under wraps.
I just don't want to step on toes, because we're under new management now. The guy's doing a great job, and everything's very secretive.
That's
and,
awesome.
you know, I want to respect Cradle's plans and Danny's plans. Like, I'm just thinking about, like, what I can talk about because it's already been public.
Yeah.
You know, and giving my little perspective on that. And I won't lie, like, this August, the press wheel starts for the new album. So they're kind of helping me gather my thoughts and get prepared for this.
I'm sure I'll get the email about the thing in fall. And, you know, the Cradle album could end up in the fall issue. I mean, Cradle was on our very first issue, so
Awesome.
You know, they're one of our favorites, but this is just a small part of what we want to talk about today, because this is, like, all about you.
Great. Well, this is my perspective on it, so yeah.
Right. Yeah, exactly. And that's, like, it's a part of you, but it's not all you. You know what I mean? Like, Cradle is something you do. It's part of you, and you very much are a huge part of it, but at the same time, there's so much more to you as a musician and a person, and that's, I think, fans really want to know, you know, more about you. They want to know how you are in real life and, like, how they can be more like you. I mean, every fan probably aspires to be like the people that they're fans of, you know, their heroes and stuff, so...
Until they get bitter and jaded.
Right? Until they find out how hard it is, and then they're like, no.
And how real they are. I mean, through the grapevine, I found out about some of my idols, and I'm just like, wow, they're either A, super boring, or B, a dick, or C, pretty cool, but not like this magical creature that, like, you know, the press made them out to be.
Right, and I think that's kind of our job, is we're there to make you, like, work you guys up and make you guys seem really interesting, so people come and view that. And of course, like, we don't want to exaggerate too much, you don't want to lie about people, but, like, you know, I don't think fans don't really realize, especially from me, my perspective, I'm in the photo pit a lot, fans will sometimes flip you off or throw drinks at you and stuff. They don't realize.
That's horrible.
Yeah, they
don't deserve that treatment.
Yeah, they don't realize that we're not paparazzi. We're not, like, chasing people down with a camera. We were invited here to take pictures to help promote this thing that you love. You know?
And that's the thing. If it wasn't for you, like, what the hell would we have to post on social media?
Right, your selfies and stuff, that's about it.
Yeah.
Like,
okay, yay.
And people, and everybody thinks they're a photographer with their iPhones and stuff. Like, now the press request things, like the press emails or instructions, they'll say specifically no iPhones and stuff like that. And, yeah, that's fantastic, but, like, people think that they're a photographer because they can take a good picture with their phone and put it on Instagram, and that's not
and then they think they're a model on Instagram.
Yeah,
I know.
There's so much more to it than that, and like this stuff, like doing interviews, writing, making sure that you find out what songs were played if possible, you know, things like that. Like, there's so much more to it. And
that's the thing. They need to understand, like, where... That's the thing. I just think fans have this very narrow, like, window vision of what goes on with the music, and they think, like, if there's bad sound, they blame the band, not realizing it was either the venue or one of the crew. Yeah. You know, like they have this very narrow vision. They're like, oh, man, that band sucks because I went to see them live and their sound was terrible. But it's like, that's not the fault of the band. And and that's the thing. I mean, I'm trying to think back about what I thought when I was, like, 14, how, like... Right? Young and naive I was, and then now I look at it now from the complete opposite end, and I'm like, wow, people need to be a little more open and understanding to what's actually going on.
Yeah, and I think that they will find, like, they will be less critical if they're more educated about how things actually work, and that's kind of, like, one of the things that we try to do with the magazine and stuff and interviews like this, especially with females in the music industry, because women get a lot of shit in the music industry.
Oh,
and, like,
your
recent post I saw about, you know, you're dealing with the pregnancy rumor number 2 or whatever, and I'm like, for reals, like, I can make the most anorexic woman look like she's pregnant if I angle my camera just right. Like, people don't understand that, and I'm just like, there's so many better things to talk about than...
I know, and the thing was, like, the first one was just, like, randomly, like, I started getting, I don't even know what the photo was, or, like, where it came from. And the funny thing is the one time I played a prank on Neo Blaviscaris with Rich on our last show of the European tour back at the end of, like, 2015, like, Rich looked ridiculous, and I came out, like, with a sign that said, Zen, I'm pregnant, to my best friend, and nobody thought, like, I didn't get a single message about it. Nobody, like, said congratulations or, like, nothing. And it was a joke. It was obviously a joke. He's my friend, and nothing like that's going on.
Right.
If anything, like, him and I don't want kids, and it's like, you know, we're not for procreation. That's why it was a joke, and it was a stupid prank.
Right.
And there was no problem with that. But then all of a sudden, randomly, one day I got, like, 4 different messages that I was pregnant. I guess someone started a rumor in South America, and I'm like, okay, this is ridiculous. Said, no, I don't know where you're getting this from, like, I mean, whatever. But then recently I went away to Norway, and I guess it was just the dress I was wearing, and this fan was like, oh, I didn't know you were pregnant, congratulations. And I'm like, this post doesn't say anything about me being pregnant. I know I've been in hiding for 4 months. I don't even look pregnant. If anything, I've been the skinniest I've been since I almost joined the band.
Yeah, I thought you looked great.
Thank you. And then, you know, I confronted this fan, and I said, you know, like, you shouldn't assume people are pregnant, especially when the post isn't about that. This person had no, like, concept of, you know, sometimes there are women who can't get pregnant. Sometimes there are women who have miscarriages. And they just didn't think there was anything wrong with what they were saying. And they're like, oh, I think you'd be a great mother. I'm like, me getting pregnant and if I want motherhood is none of your business.
Yeah,
you know,
it's not about that.
This person didn't realize, like, the whole idea of mind your own womb. Like, pregnancy and family is none of your business. And I had to just walk away from this person. And they were sweet and kind and said, you know, I love you and what you do. And I'm like, okay, but they couldn't grasp the concept that
was rude.
Someone's pregnant is very, like, impolite.
Oh,
you know?
yeah.
And granted, I shouldn't be offended, but, you know, I deal with things in my personal life where I know people who can't get pregnant. I know people who, because they gained a few pounds and they're carrying some weight in the front, they've been assumed to be pregnant, and it's not fair. It's nobody's business at the end of the day, right?
Yeah, we had a similar experience with one of the girls that works with me, and she had said something rather vulgar on her Facebook about vegetarians, and I was like, hey, you know, you shouldn't talk like that, because, like, lots and lots of the people that you look up to and adore and want their respect and admiration are vegetarians, and so you might not want to say that. And she ended up getting really upset about it, and now we've made up, and now we're friends, and she's back working with us, but because she kind of learned a lesson about it. It did come back and bite her in the butt, and I was just like, you should never assume that nobody is listening. You should never assume that anybody is anything. I mean, you should just never assume. You should find out facts, and that's kind of where I ended up doing this.
Thing.
Because
if I was like, you know, like Flora, when she got pregnant and had her baby, she made announcements about it.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, I would, or same with Simone, like any of the other women in metal who have had children, they made this announcement, hey, guess what, I'm pregnant. Yeah. And then they announce when the baby's born. Like, I obviously would have done something like that, because, of course, if it got to the point where I was having a baby, you know, my career was going to have to take a little bit of a side for the minute while I, you know, brought life into the world. But that's the thing, people just, I don't understand, you know, this generation can be savage. This whole social media thing is just insane. It's
changed the face of everything, really, but the music industry and the entertainment industry, I think, definitely. And fans are immediately connected with the people they adore through social media, and it can get scary at times. It can get out of control. It can get really ignorant, and it's this whole instant gratification. Oh, I'm a huge fan of Lindsay Schoolcraft, so I'm gonna go stalk her Facebook page and message her relentlessly, and you know, and they don't.
Oh, it happens all the time. And it's just like, you know what? Like, that's the thing. Like, I don't think fans understand. Like, if I sat online all day talking to you, I would never have new music for you to listen to.
Right, it's so much work.
It is, and it's like, I've literally been killing myself this week to, like, get on track. My solo album's due in 3 months. And that's not a lot of time when you think about it. Like, 3 months, I can get a lot done in 3 months. But, like, when you still have 7 songs to finish out of, like, 15, that's not a lot of time.
Right.
And you know, and they're, like, messaging me and, like, where are you? What's going on? Are you mad at me? Like, I'm like, you have to understand I have a career and I can't sit on Facebook all day talking to you.
Yeah,
like if I did, you'd have nothing to listen to.
I sometimes just don't have time to answer people because there's not really an answer, you know. It's just like, oh yeah, we're going to do this at this time, and that's the end of the conversation. And they won't hear back from me, or they'll ask me something like, oh, are you mad at me about something? And I'll be like, I'm too busy right now to answer this. And so I'm like, that's really a ridiculous question. That's one of those questions that kind of answers itself. It's like, well, do I have something to be mad at you about? Like, I'm busy. I have to go.
It's like, I wasn't mad at you before, but now I'm mad at you for being insecure.
Right. You're like, I have no idea what's going on. I'm really busy right now. Do you want to come help me out? Because I got stuff to do. So,
exactly.
I totally get that. I don't think fans understand. Like, you guys are real people. Like, your whole life does not revolve around that stage. Like, it does in some aspects, but you still have to eat and sleep and, you know,
and family and friends.
Yeah,
and
you can't just stop being human because you're a musician. And you know, if you did stop being human because you're a musician, it would make you not as attractive. I think that's what's attractive about people that are in the entertainment industry, is that they are real people and they're you know, human, and they have feelings and emotions, and they're portraying that through whatever medium they're using, and that's bringing people in. So that's, I mean, that's how you express yourselves. It's really like the ultimate form of art, and it's the only thing, music is the only thing that transcends, like, every culture has music. Every culture. Yeah. It's the only universal thing there is, besides maybe love, if that's, you know, if science hasn't disproved it yet. So, but, I mean, they're working on it, I'm sure. But
I'm sure. They're figuring it out.
But yeah, I mean, that just comes back to you as a solo musician. You don't just have Cradle of Filth. You have your other solo projects. You have your new project that I know you're super excited about, and I want to talk to you about. And that stuff is all time consuming, and it takes so much.
It does. It's worth it. But even, you know, when I explain my new project in a minute, it's insane, and it requires a certain level of communication and structure, and it's like, if you don't take time to do that, it's just never going to happen, right?
Right, and professionalism and you know, and dedication, all those things, you've got to continuously go there, and then you've got to go make a living too. So, because, you know, I think people have a false idea that being in the music industry is like some big rock star lifestyle, you know, and
yeah, they do. Like, I work at a bar part-time, and people show up and they're like, oh, like, you're in Cradle of Filth, like, you should have, like, a sports car in your own house, and I just laugh in their face.
Yeah, it's like, if you want to make that kind of money, go play country music. That might bring
in... That's the thing. I always joke with my manager, Nadine. I'm like, if I became a country artist, I would have been a huge by now. Because no offense to country, like, I started in country at a very young age. Writing a country song is pretty easy. It's straightforward pop, you know, and it's not that difficult, not like classical music or metal. No, I'm not saying one is better than the other.
Right.
It's what you're
just
into.
Different.
But, like, compositionally speaking, it's very, I find it easier, like, even writing my solo music right now, it's what I know, and it's comfortable, and it's easy for me, and it comes out so naturally. It's like, you know, compared to Cradle, it doesn't take the same, it takes work, but it doesn't take the same amount of, like, energy and skill and thinking to apply really heavy classical theory and technique, you know, like Cradle requires.
Yeah, and I think that's another common misconception too. Like, metal is it's an acquired taste. It's not mainstream at all. And nowadays it seems like it's even less mainstream than it used to be when I was younger. I mean, I don't want to date myself, but, like, you know, back in the late 90s, it was a totally different thing. There was a lot more people for it, and there are certain things happen throughout time in the music industry.
Maybe in North America, but I think it's thriving in other parts of the world.
Yeah, always in Europe it's thriving, and I think that's
South America.
Yeah, South America, I've seen even recently, a huge surge in it. But, you know, myself as a metal fan, it has been, it's been, you know, because I work in the mainstream and I work in metal too. I work in this other world of where all the college kids are listening to nothing but dubstep and hip hop and country music, and, you know, and because, like you said, I work part-time too. I work as an Uber driver of all things, and
nothing wrong with that. That must be fun.
it is fun sometimes, but, like, it's changed. Everything has changed, and music, people's taste in music, the larger population likes the hip-hop and the country and the dubstep and stuff like that. That's easy and accessible and catchy, and there's a lot of it and a lot of different types of it, and so that seems to be more popular than, like, what we are into, what you produce. And not a lot of people just don't know about it. And so somebody that you and I would be, like, super excited about seeing live or interviewing or having any kind of interaction with, they have no clue who they are. And that's just, like, it's a different monster. So there's not as much money in this as people would think, and it's a lot of work for a little payoff. But you don't do it for money; you do it because you love it. And it's really more sophisticated. I think it's more. It's like I said, it's an acquired taste. You know, it's like a good wine, and that's what people don't they don't understand. Like, people outside of the metal and scene, they don't understand that this stuff is definitely, it's something that you can nerd out on.
Yeah.
Let's just say that you can totally nerd out on it. So yeah, that's like me. I want to nerd out on who's doing what with who are my favorite artists working with, and that's why I was like, ooh, your new project, when we talked about it last time, how is that going? Like, what?
Okay, so the new side project. Okay, so I'm so excited to finally talk about it. When I was on tour back in 2015, I became really close friends with Zen from Needle of Iscaris. And we had talked about kind of, like, I wouldn't say woes, but, like, what we saw in our own bands that we wanted to do differently. And for some reason, during our Grim adventures, like, everything kept lining up. It's like, well, if I had a band or if I had a project, this is what I want. He's like, that's exactly what I want, too. So finally we went out for a night in Rome, and we had a great time. It was so funny, and, we missed the last train getting out of Rome, and we had to walk back for 3 hours, which completely busted up my shoes. But during that time, we decided that we're going to start a project together because it just makes sense. Now, the thing with Zen is he comes from a black metal background, which I'm a huge fan of. The thing that is as me as a composer and what I do, I'm fascinated by the things I can't do, which is a lot of electronic music and guitar and drum heavy music. And black metal has seemed to become like a super guilty pleasure for me lately, but it shouldn't be a guilty pleasure. It's just my new obsession, and I'm loving it. And, my background is classical with a bit of mainstream rock, but, I'm all about, like, a side of me that a lot of people don't know about that wasn't really, I pitched it to Cradle of Filth, and it didn't feel it was right for Cradle of Filth, so I said that's okay. I like to write for Gregorian chant and Orthodox chant. I love writing choral arrangements. I like writing this really dark, heavy, classical music inspired by, like, Wagner and Karl Orff. And, it was, I felt that some of the stuff I was composing, especially on, like, church organ and stuff, it wasn't meant for Cradle of Filth, and then I felt like it could go much better in more like a black metal outfit. So, we decided that we're starting a project. And I went home and I wrote 2 compositions, and at the time they were horrible because I was just learning how to program strings, and it was a learning process for me. It really was, stepping away from what I was able to contribute to Cradle of Filth. And, I got to a point where I think it was just before Christmas that year, and I told Zen, I was like, listen, I've written 2 songs, they're pretty good in length, but the problem is I can't go any further. We need a guitarist. So he found, we did a search, it took us forever, we had to go through so many emails. We actually went through the process of finding people when we toured North America together with Cradle and Neil and the Butcher Babies. We decided on Urzorn from the band Negator as our guitarist, and he has fit like a glove. I actually told him, like, I just want to fly to Germany and compose with him because it lines up so well. And then during that tour, we also decided to recruit Justine Ete from Blackguard as our drummer and collaborator with me because she has a classical background. She used to conduct the percussion end of orchestras. So as you can see, this project started turning into a super group. And then at that point, we decided, okay, we're going to name the project Antiqva with a V because we have to keep it cult. And the reason for that is because the concept of the music is we want to bring back, like, the live symphonic sound, but in a retro way, so it's like old school black metal sound meeting a very old school approach to classical music, but not programmed, like all recorded in a church with small string sections and small choirs. And it seems, at the time, it seemed like an impossible dream because this is just what me and Zen wanted. We're like, oh yeah, like, we need this, and this is what's missing in music today, and this is what black metal is missing, and this is what classical is missing, and what symphonic metal is missing. And we at the time were like, this is almost an impossible dream, but then we found out Justine has some connections and can help us, and we've decided to make Montreal kind of our hub for this symphonic end, and then Urzorn's from Germany, and we think that Germany is going to be our hub for the band setup end, but also for, like, because I think we're going to do better in Europe than North America. But we'll see. Time will tell.
Right.
So then, the 4 of us got together, and we've composed about more than half an hour of music now. But the thing is this is everyone's fun side project on the side. There's no pressure. You work at it at your own leisure.
Right.
There's no money. There's no ego. Like, everyone in this project is super sweet and easy to work with and funny, and we all love the same music, and we all love the vision. So it's been interesting because since the new year, the past 5 months, we've completed the lineup. We recruited Andy Thomas from Black Crown Initiate to do atmospheric guitar and clean vocals, but he also does growl, so, live, that's great. And then we got in Memnock, who is, I do believe he had some role in Mayhem back in the day, but he has his own project called Abyssic, and he's also part of Suspiria. So he's from Norway, and he plays the stand-up bass, which is something that we want because it's classically driven, and he plays it with a bow, and we're just like, oh my god, you were meant to be in this project. And then our other addition was Daria. She's the cellist of Dirty Granny Tales, but she also plays cello for the Ocean live.
Nice.
And it's just, we wanted a cellist in there because there's a lot of cello sections, cello solos, and live I think it would complete it. So yeah, it's turned into this super group, and it's grown bigger than we expected, and it's more attainable than we thought. And I think me and Zen are sitting here now like, oh shit, like this snowballed fast. And it's happening, and we're at the point now where we do have about 30 minutes of music, and we're just trying to attain 45, and then we can go forward with pre-production.
Yeah.
Which is just crazy.
Wow, I'm excited about that. Sounds amazing. I can't wait. I love all these things you're telling me. Like, right now, can we hear this? Like, when can I hear it? So,
soon. Well, I mean, I don't think we're going to release anything until it's, like, done, but
right.
I think once we make the public announcement, there's going to be sneak peeks of everything on our social media.
You'll have to send me something for a review. We have this wonderful young man, Derek, who he calls himself Metal DP, which is just hilarious, but he, like...
I love it already.
Yeah, he writes about a lot of local musicians and a lot of black metal and a lot of mainstream stuff that comes through.
Oh, wow.
So he's a very talented writer. I like it's kind of a blog style, but it's looser and people can relate to it more. And but he's good. I like his stuff, and he loves black metal too. So
perfect.
Yeah, sounds like it's right up my alley, and it sounds like it'd be right up a lot of people's alley. So I'm excited about that.
So, I'm really excited about it too, because it's just been something I can freely contribute to on my own time, and I've had a blast collaborating with Urzorn and Justine. They're both very talented musicians, and they, being guitarist and drummer, they just kind of share a brain, which is cool too, even though they've never met before. Like, I have to say, in the project, yeah, Urzorn is a guitarist and Justine is a drummer. They both kind of have this, like, this connection, like they both know exactly what they want to do compositional-wise, so it's really cool and interesting as an international project for two people who've never met, because we have members from Norway, Germany, America, Canada, Australia. So, but that's the thing, it takes that next level of organization, and I kind of have become, along with Zen, kind of the organizer and delegator of tasks. But it flows so easily because I enjoy it, the people are great to work with, and it's been a really fun learning process. I get like having that international band, but I've already had that experience dealing with Cradle of Filth. So I think that's why it's becoming so easy.
Yeah, it sounds amazing. Have you guys gotten as far as artwork or anything like that yet? Have you done any of that?
No, like that'll be Zen's department, because he's a graphic designer and he's like our front guy and our lyricist. I know he's had ideas. He's obviously finishing up stuff for Navel of Ascaris right now because their album's due out soon. And then he said he's going to actually start working on vocals and lyrics. I know he has started on lyrics and ideas, but he's so secretive. He's like, I'm not showing you anything until it's like the final presentation. And I'm like, that's fine, like, whatever. But it's going to be nice because, I'm going to get to sing along with him. And then we have Andy in the mix for guy vocal, like clean guy vocals, his beautiful voice. Interesting human being, but great voice. He's just a character. So it's going to be really, like, it's going to be something special. I feel really good about it, and I'm excited about it. I'm just kind of stuck at, like, I have one more composition, or Zorn has one more composition, and then we are about 45 minutes of music there, but I'm really struggling with this last piece because it's very choir oriented, and they're singing lyrics, and there's chorale arrangements, and I'm just like, it's a new challenge I've never really tackled before. It's kind of discouraging, but I know once I feel right about it and I just chip away at it every day, it's going to come to fruition. So
yeah, you're going to get it, and then it'll be like riding a bike.
Yeah, eventually. But that's the thing. I'm so glad I have Justine around and her knowledge of classical music, because she just knows what to do, where and when and how, and she's been a great mentor through this process.
That's amazing.
I feel really grateful. I mean, Justine and Zen are two of my best friends, and to be able to be in a musical project with two people, you know,
right,
you're so close to, it's really something special.
Yeah, I'm excited. You got me all excited about it, because I can hear the passion in your voice, and it sounds amazing, and I can't wait to hear it. So you'll have to keep me on the link for that one, because I just can't wait. But I'm so excited you have a female drummer. Didn't I tell you I'm managing a band with a female drummer?
Oh, are you really? Well, that's the thing.
Yeah.
Daria is our cellist, too, so we have 3 women in this group.
Nice.
Which is so cool. You know, and I forewarned everyone, like, watch it, we'll be singing Disney tunes on tour.
I always wanted to start a black metal band of all girls, and I've never told it, maybe just, like, one other person I've ever told that, but it was always kind of like a little fantasy, and so that's just, like, I'm like, that's exciting, because that's a lot.
yeah, it's cool, and that's the thing, like, we didn't expect it to be so many girls in the band. It just kind of happened. We just kind of looked at our network, and we're like, who do we like?
Right.
And who's going to be into this?
Yeah.
And when you look at Daria and what's it called? Dirty Granny Tales. It is very black metal driven. It's a different type of act, but it has undertones of black metal. So, you know, she already knows what black metal is and the aesthetic and what needs to happen for it musically.
Right.
So it's really exciting, and I mean, I'm always excited to see more women in metal, and there are, like, I think we're really starting to catch up with the boys.
Right. Drummers are still pretty rare. I can only think of a few that are, really, really good off the top of my head, but that's, it's exciting that you have that many females that you're connecting with. I mean, that's another thing we try to project is that, women are not the enemy, they're your friend. You need to find women that you feel, a party to and work with them, because, you need to band together and be strong, and that's something that is really, at least in the States right now, is very important. So
yeah, exactly.
And so that's great to hear. I'm excited about all of that. Is there anything else you want to tell me about that project in particular? Like,
that's about it. Like, that's where it's at right now. It's become bigger than expected, and, like, I know when the time comes visually, Zen's going to know what to do. I'm loving where the music's going. I mean, the songs are pretty long. They're anywhere from, like, 5 to 8 minutes.
Wow.
They're these big epics. They have quiet parts. They have dark parts. They have crazy heavy parts. Urzon's guitar is just very reminiscent of 90s black metal, but he does it in his own way. He really knows how to make the guitar sing. I really enjoy listening to what he writes and sends over, and I'm always excited to hear something new from him, because, like, if I could play, like, guitar and black metal, I'd want to play and write like him. So it's been this magical thing that just kind of happened, all because me and Zen got drunk in Rome and decided to start a band together.
That's brilliant. I love it.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. So what else has been going on with you? I saw, didn't you play something like Carmageddon or something? Was that what
I was asked to come out and be a guest vocalist for I Think Not. We performed their song Silent Falls, which actually they've never played live before, and it would kind of rush into it. It was part of my vacation. I just needed to get away once the Cradle album was done, because it was so much work and I was just so tired. And it was refreshing, but yeah, we got to the festival, and my approach to it was pretty laid back. The band was very grateful. It was very sweet, and we just performed it the first time ever, no rehearsal, on stage. It went over really well. And then I just hung out at the festival the rest of the week, and I got to see a bunch of bands I've never actually seen live before.
Nice.
Yeah, it was cool.
Yeah, I saw some pictures that you were sharing. They're beautiful. I thought it looked fun. I was like, one day I'll get to go.
I hope you do. It's worth it.
Yeah, it's always a dream, to get out of the States and go to a festival in another country.
Yes, and it's worth it, I promise.
Yeah, totally. I'll get there one day. So hopefully maybe I'll even be on the 70,000 tons of metal this year. That's kind of a goal of mine, is to get on there. So we'll see.
I hope so.
Yeah, I was going to go last year, but
so.
Financially couldn't make it happen. So this year, hopefully, comes back to that whole we're not rock stars thing. That's, you know, like that's kind of where the name from the magazine came from. Even like that's why it's called a Resident Rock Star, because it was designed to help those musicians that are, you know, trying to make their craft and get it out there. So
that's brilliant.
Yeah, everybody needs it, and it needs a little help when they're trying to play music. I think it's so demanding. It's such a demanding industry, and there's so many people trying to do it, and not everybody does it well.
Well, you know, that's the thing, though. It's all about your own self-improvement.
Right.
Are you willing to learn and grow, right?
Right, yeah. And I think as a musician, you've come miles just since you've joined Cradle of Filth, and I think you're just going to keep going.
Yeah, no stopping it now. It's like a machine. You can't slow
and you
it
have
down.
your solo project, Lindsay Schoolcraft, and are you doing anything with that right now? Is there anything exciting?
Yeah, I've got like 3 months now until it's due. And my collaborator owes me about half of the material, but he'll get to it. I have faith in him. He's a pro.
Right.
He's a Grammy Award-winning artist, so he knows what he's doing. It's
nice.
just he's also doing like my logo for me and my album artwork. But you know, you can't really get to the image until the music's done. So that's something that we're keeping in mind. But it has been like a long journey. I actually just completed lyrics for the last song like this week, and now I'm just like, you know, doing final touches on my end, but it's really up to my collaborator until we can finish it up. But it's coming along really well. I'm really proud of it. I don't think it's what I think people will be excited about it, but I don't think it was something they expected. Maybe they did, who knows. Maybe they were like wishfully thinking it. It's really exciting. You know, I don't have a ton of money, so it wasn't like done on a super big budget.
Right.
I even had some friends, like, no pun intended, pull some strings and help me out. Like my buddy Spencer Cregan, who's doing my string work, and it's gonna be really something, and it's gonna be out later this year. But it's been a learning curve for sure, because I didn't realize, you know, I get like kind of discouraged about the recent composition with Antiqva, so I just like put it aside, and then I'm like, I want to feel productive and like I'm contributing, and I plowed through everything I needed to do for my solo project this week, because it's easy and it's what I know and I'm good at it, and it's straightforward, and it's like it's in the vein of like hard rock and new metal, and it's what I love. And that made it easy, so I was just able to like do it and make it happen, not get it over with, because that's not like how I feel about my solo work.
Right.
I enjoy it the whole step of the way, but I feel there's a lot more pressure being a solo artist, because my team is very small, whereas in like Cradle or Antiqva, it's like 5 to 6, 7 other people who you've got to work with, and you got to be a community. But then being a solo artist, everything is relying on me. Like, I'm the pinnacle, and then everybody else has to like, or, you know, a cornerstone, I'm not sure what the word is, but everyone else has to like work around me. So I've got my collaborator, my string guy, my producer, person helping me find funding, like stuff, and you know, I've got to delegate tasks and be up on everyone, because it's my job. And then I've got a bunch of like guest musicians coming on, and I've got to be very wary and critical of everything that's going on. So it's a whole different pressure. I mean, I enjoy it, and I feel musically like it's going to be an album that is me musically. Like, there's two sides to me. I feel like there is the hard rock chick that I've been since high school, who is always going to love singing over top of, you know, heavy guitars and choirs and piano and harp. Like, there's always going to be that side of me who just, like, really just wants to go out there and sing these really important songs about things that I've been through or that other people can relate to, almost like not like a pop star way, but like a mainstream music kind of way, because I do love a lot of mainstream music. Right. But then there's another side of me that really wants to be, and I've had this longing inside of me since I was very little, is to be a classical composer. And, you know, eventually I do want to go back to university in my later years and get my doctor in classical, like BA in music, become a professor, because music is endless and you can never stop learning, and I feel like I'd make a great teacher. But I also want to be someone who's able to get all these ideas in my head out. And I feel like Antiqva is just the beginning of that. It'll always be something I love and I'm going to do on the side when there's time. So I was telling our guitarist in Antiqva Arizona recently, I was like, you know, I have two moods. I have dark and darker, and that's literally what it is. I'm a dark heavy rock artist, mourning over heartbreak, but then I'm also this classical artist composing soundtracks in my head about these epic things, like the dark side of what's going on in the world today, because there's some things you can't write a song about. You have to just, like, you lyrically can't. Maybe Zen will be able to do it, but I can't. When it comes, like, you know, the dark things that are going on in the world today, and illness and plague and sickness, war, poverty, you know, I can't really write a mainstream song about stuff like that, but I can compose what I feel it sounds and feels like classically. Right. And that's what I'm doing with this project.
Yeah, and I think, isn't there, like, it's a lot of pressure once you've composed and put out work that you need to continue to put out work, and it can become daunting at times where you have to take a break, and you also need to express those dark feelings too. You can't just, like, not everything can be, you know, happy and flowers all the time. Things are, like, especially now, the times that we're in now are, you know, some people are saying it's like a new dark ages, but it's just like there's a lot of bad stuff going on, and if you don't express how you feel about those things, then they just kind of eat away at you, and you have to get that out of you. And at the same time, you have to still fill in and produce music, because you've been producing music. So once you start, you just can't stop, right? It's like
exactly. And that's the thing. I think a lot of my fans can relate to me on that singer platform, because I do go through a lot of hardships with heartache and friends and family, and a lot of normal day-to-day things that a lot of people go through. But then on the other side of being a touring musician and seeing the world and seeing impoverished countries and their political problems, there's a side of me that understands and mourns for that I don't think people who just broke up with their boyfriend and have never left their country understand. Right. So you know what I mean, I express that through my other project, where more worldly people and open-minded people who are really educated on what is going on in the world today, that maybe they'll be able to hear that and be like, oh, like, okay, this is the soundtrack to how I've been feeling about the darker end of what's going on in the world today.
Right. I think, you know, at least for some of us, we need to express those feelings, and it's important. So I'm definitely a huge black metal fan, and I have been for some time, and death metal fan, and so, you know, for me, it's your new project. What you're telling me speaks to my heart. I'm just like, oh, I can't wait to hear this as a female black metal fan. It sounds like, you know, right up my alley. So, yeah, I'm excited for that. And you said you'd probably come out in June?
Yeah, well, we're announcing it publicly June 2nd. So then the world will know about it then. So it's something to keep under wraps until then.
Yeah, well, usually our summer magazine comes out in the first week of June, but right now I'm looking at pushing it back a week, possibly. Okay. So it'll come out sometime within the first or second week. It definitely won't come out before your announcement.
Okay, cool.
So,
thank you.
yeah.
That's all I care about.
Yeah, no, and we definitely want to highlight that too. And so also I'll do a follow-up email with you and just get a list of everybody's names and stuff that you mentioned, so I can make sure I get it all right and, you know, get everybody their credit where credit is due and stuff.
Okay, definitely. Yeah, you can email me about that stuff. I'll definitely be able to send you all the spellings and stuff.
Yeah, and if you have any links to if you have a website or anything like that.
Oh yeah, we'll have our social media links up then, where we'll start like posting exclusive behind the scenes stuff.
Yeah, we'll want to link all that stuff into the online version of the interview, so that you guys get, you know, hits from it and stuff, and people can find you. And you know, that's what's important, is to make sure that people can Google it, because everybody just Googles.
Yeah,
they
exactly.
Google things, and that's how they find everything. So So yeah, we want to make sure we have all the proper information up there for that and get it all out there. I think it's going to be a fantastic issue.
I can't wait for
We're going for like a blackened summer kind of feel.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah, I mean, like, summertime, typically, you have, like, hot, sexy girls on the cover in bikinis or something like that for, you know, I mean, a typical magazine. They just, like, it's all about summertime. It's happy. It's bright. But there's this whole dark underground concert scene that is just thriving from spring until fall, I think, and even through winter. I mean, fall and winter, I think, are even... Man, I've seen some amazing concerts.
This year is just going to be insane. Like, I've been looking at all the events coming through Toronto, and, like, I'm going to go broke if I, like, go to any more. I'm starting to just pick out the ones that, like, I'm seeing the Deftones for the first time next month, you know.
Wow.
And, I know, it took me forever, and it's, like, that I want to do because I've never seen them before, right?
I've never seen them live. I'd love to see them live.
Yeah, oh, God, I love the Deftones, and it's just this thing where... like, all these friends are coming through, and so many people are releasing music this year. Like, I think all of my favorite bands are releasing music, and it's just like, my God, like, this is overwhelming. I can't handle this.
Yeah, I mean, if the infrastructure of the world holds up, the touring will be amazing, you know? Like, if people just, like, if everything stays together and people can get in and out of the country and... we'll be fine, you know, everything will be great.
Yeah, that's what I'm hoping for.
Yeah, right, I mean, that's all we can
hope for. Exactly.
We've been through worse things than I mean, the things that are going on now, but, you know, and that's just part of life. I think it's gonna happen throughout history, so, but,
exactly.
But yeah, I think the music industry really thrives around times of turmoil politically or religiously or whatever is going on in the history, so, and you see a lot of beautiful artwork that, like, especially when I look back on my medieval history classes and stuff, like the Dark Ages, everybody was like miserable during the Dark Ages, right? But some of the most beautiful artwork and music came out of that. I mean,
it's true.
It's just amazing. So, you know.
Yeah, that's how they survived, and I think that's what's going on right now.
Yeah, I think it's going to be, you know, artistically it's going to be an amazing year and couple of years to come, and I just can't wait to see where it goes.
Yeah, I agree. I'm there with you. I feel the same way.
Awesome. Okay, well, I won't take up any more of your time.
No, that's okay. It's been good. It's been good chatting and catching up.
Yeah.
You didn't have any other questions or anything you wanted to talk about?
I don't have any specific questions, but, you know, if there's anything else that you want to get out there, is there any more information that you have?
Oh, yeah, no, something that happened recently is the original drummer of Evanescence, Rocky Gray. He has a movie coming out later this year called 10/31/16, and it's like a horror anthology. It's very old school, like, I guess, like, B-horror kind of thing. It's really cool. He's been doing, like kind of this horror film stuff for a while now. He's doing great. He's done music videos. He's a very talented dude. I mean, he's the one who gave, like, Evanescence their sound on Fallen, and he's won Grammys, and he's a fantastic dude, and he invited me to be on the soundtrack to do a song with him, which I'm just, like, over the moon about, because this guy's, like, one of my teen idols, and he's become, like, a mentor in a way, and I call him Uncle Rocky as a joke. It's pretty funny. Cool guy, really chill, really easy to work with. So we're working on a song together, and it's really turning out great. And the other thing is that on this album, John LeCompte, who's the original guitarist alongside Ben Moody in Evanescence, he's on there doing a song with Carly Smithson, who is their singer for We Are the Fallen. So it's kind of like, wow, like I'm just kind of like taken back. I think this is like the biggest thing to do with my career right now. So I'm really excited about that. Really, like, to collaborate with someone who's influenced me musically all these years is just mind-blowing.
I think I remember you mentioned that in our last interview, too, something about him. And so is that with your solo project, or is that a project he's doing?
That's a project he's doing his own.
If it's something you enjoy and you feel like doing it, that's our goal, is to, like, get it out there and also to educate the fans and the general public about the music industry in general and how we are and what we do, and, you know, how much work it takes, because I feel like in this digital age, like, nobody pays for anything. Do you know what I mean? Like,
it's messed up. And, like, I was talking to my friend Cammie yesterday. She's in a band called Van House, and she's writing my grants for me because, like, I have no money, really. And she's like, you know, she's put almost $200,000 into her new album, and she's like, this is why I'm so pissed off that nobody pays for music anymore.
Yeah.
Because the bill is just massive.
Right. Yeah.
These days.
Same with running a magazine. It's massive, and we have to pay. Everyone's like, well, where does all the money go? I'm like, well, it goes to the printer. Like,
yeah.
Printing costs a lot of money, especially when you're a smaller magazine, and when you start growing, like we have, it's just like, it's so hard to keep up with it because everybody wants something for free, and
no, I know.
They don't realize how much it costs them. It costs so much to produce music. It costs so much to produce a magazine. It costs a lot of money to produce art, and everything's instant gratification, free download, you know. And it's like, at some point, you just have to give back to the things that you love, you know.
Yeah,
you just have
do.
to.
And
you
that's
have to
the
give
thing.
back
I think that's
to
something that needs to be taught to the generation coming up after this. Is like, you know, if you really believe in something someone's doing artistically, you should put your money towards it and support it, or they won't be able to flourish.
Right. They won't be able to keep doing it, and that's the real big thing there, is if you don't have an outlet. If I didn't have music, I don't know what I would do. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Like, so if you guys stopped making music, what the hell would I do? I would have nothing to listen to. I wouldn't have anything to write about. I certainly wouldn't have anybody to see pictures of.
Like, outlet for less stress.
Right, and it's something I love to do, and it's something, you know, I feel like giving up all the time, and then I go to a concert, and I'm like, what the hell was I thinking? Like,